to the good days, here's to the sorrows.
Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my November TBR. I am going to do this ever so slightly different. I am going to start this off by doing a little monthly wrap-up reset. So there will be timestamps down in the description box. If you want to pop around to anywhere or skip certain sections, you can go down there and find the section that you're looking for. But the day that I'm filming this, it is October 31st, and I have not posted a video in I think 23 days. So I just wanted to start this off with a little, I don't know, kind of tell you where I've been and why I have ghosted this channel. So I'm just going to kind of go through what this month looked like, what I accomplished, what things are going to look like moving forward. So I don't want to say that I got into a reading slump because it's been bigger than that. It's more of a general life slump. I am just feeling very overwhelmed by everything. My life right now is very, very chaotic, not only with the holidays coming up, which we do host, but my sister-in-law is coming into town. I have a wedding that I am part of. I'm doing some medical testing things. I have a rush work project that needs to be done by the end of the year. And it's a lot. I have not had the mental capacity to take on much more. Like, if we're going with the spoon metaphor, I have 3 spoons every single day. One goes to work, one goes to, like, keeping myself alive, and I have 1 spoon left to do something else. And it hasn't been this channel, unfortunately. I'm hoping I can find a way to make it all work, but things they might be a little sporadic from here until the new year, so we shall see, because I have so much end of the year content that I want to make, and it breaks my heart. Why? Maggie, why? Out of there, please! Because I have so much end of the year content that I want to do and make, so I don't want to skip it entirely, but I also need to be, like, honest with myself on what it is that I can and cannot take on, because I was nearing burnout and I kind of had to step back, and I don't want to push myself past that and, like, actually burn out. I'm not entirely sure what the solution is, but for right now, I am just going to kind of use some vacation time and stuff that I have coming up to try and get ahead on some things, and we'll see what happens from there. Just kind of going over what happened in October. I think I read a total of like 12-ish books. I DNF'd a lot of books. I DNF'd, I think, 5 total books. I DNF'd, I did bring out some of them. I'm going to move this out of the way. And these are the books that I'm going to kind of, well, this and other books that I'm going to talk about. I did DNF Starling House by Alex E. Harrow, which was a book that I technically vlogged, because I was going to do 3 seasonal vlogs. I filmed one in entirety and then half of another, and I never posted them, but I ended up DNFing this, I don't know, like a little over halfway through, because it just wasn't what I had wanted. It's more like good versus evil fairy tale-esque than haunted house, so it just wasn't what I was looking for. I also DNF'd Last to Leave the Room by Caitlin Starling, because what was happening? What was this? I have no idea. This author's clearly not for me. I DNF'd Hallowed, which was for a vlog that I was going to do that I got halfway through and I hated it. I was going to do an entire vlog reading like a whole ton of Kindle Unlimited Headless Horseman stories, which April from, I'm totally blanking on April's channel name, but she will be linked down below. She actually did do a vlog like this. I read Hollow by C.M. Nascosta. Hated that book. I absolutely loathed every page of that book. And then I got partway through this one and I was like, I don't want to read this either. And so I was just like, you know what? We're done. I DNF'd The Vampire King. I DNF'd Boot Up. I DNF'd 2 for Tea. I was just, spooky season and I were not on the same page this year. We're officially done. I kind of gave up like a day or 2 ago. I was like, you know what? It's not happening this year. Clearly we're not getting along. So of my like TBR, I didn't end up doing much of any of it. I was supposedly participating in Spookopoly as well as Black Aweenathon. I didn't, in all honesty, I didn't do much of anything. I did read some books that would fit into these things, but not much. Of the 15 book TBR, I read 7 of them, and some of them were DNFs, so It wasn't super successful, but I did have some favorites. So I ended up with 5 favorite books. The Unmaking of Jude Farrow by Adrienne Young was a 5-star. I loved this book. Adrienne Young is one of my favorite authors at this point. I have given so many of her books 5 stars, and this like slightly magical fantasy sort of thing with a slight romance that she does in her adult books is everything for me. Nothing is explained at any point, and I loved every second of it. And then I read Their Vicious Games, which was a book that I had put on my TBR for Blackoween, and I loved this. This was easily my favorite thriller, horror, whatever that I read this season, and it was top tier. This author is releasing another YA horror, I think, next Halloween, October-ish, and I can't wait because this was so good. At first, I was like, I know exactly where this book is going, and then it takes like a slight turn, and this book gets so vicious. She went there, and I loved it. Then Outfield Assist by Kat Geraldo was another 5-star. I'm obsessed with this series. I'm obsessed with this author. And then the biggest surprise, other than Their Vicious Games, One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns might be my new favorite duology of all time. This was fantastic. I gave both of these 5 stars. This is nothing like what I normally read, but I want more. This was so good. It's high fantasy, it's dark, it has demons in it, it has a great romance, it has multiple romances. You're following a million characters. I loved this so much. So much so that I purchased it because I need to own these, and I can't wait for Rachel Gillick to write something else. And then I did finish every single October arc. I'm very proud of myself. These were the 2 that I needed to get onto my TBR, and once I realized that like the season and I were not on the same page, I picked these kind of up back to back. This one I gave 3 stars. It was a bit of a disappointment. And this one I gave 4 stars. It was really cute, but not as good as boyfriend and or husband material, in my opinion, but it was fun. October wasn't a total bust by any means. Like I said, I got all of my arcs read. I had some big wins. It went off course from what I had anticipated it to be, simply because I was not vibing with anything that I picked up. There were stretches where I was like, do I like reading? Do I like books? Because I'm not finding any that I like. And so it was a bit of an up and down month overall. The last little thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to this little B-roll of me doing some November goal planning, and I'm just going to kind of talk through some goals and plans for November. I really want to start getting ready for 2024 content, because ideally I will be spending my vacation times over the next 2 months prepping for not only the end of the year content, but 2024 content as well. So I'm hoping that that's kind of how I can get back on track with videos and stuff, by using a bunch of built-in time off that I have to get ahead. I do have 2 vlogs planned for November. I'm really, really hoping to follow through with these. I'm excited about both of them. So hopefully these actually happen. One of them has been a vlog that has been on the schedule for, I don't know, months now. So I'm really, really hoping that neither of these end up in the bin with the other vlogs. I'm also going to be picking back up my planning series. Like I said with October, everything kind of got pushed back. I do have a bunch of these videos filmed already, so I'm going to be editing them and hopefully posting them so that we're good for November. The last big thing is going to be my 2024 planner stuff and or channel stuff. So I really want to get my planner lineup finished and get it prepped. Because I really want to film all of that stuff for you so I can show you what planners I'm using and how I'm setting them up and all of that stuff. So I need to get all of that planned out. And then I need to do any sort of setup stuff for 2024. So TBR prompts and kind of figuring out what my schedule is going to look like. Do I want to set new goals? All of that kind of stuff. So lots of end of the year things and content things coming, a lot of planning that needs to be done so that I can find a way to make all of this work, because right now we're flying by the seat of our pants. So that's going to be it for the little like wrap up section, and we are going to get on to my TBR. I moved everything to this glass jar because the other jar, I was constantly like knocking things out, and now we have all this room to grow. Like I said, in the goal section, I am planning to start updating this and go through the prompts and add prompts and take things out and just kind of revamp it for the new year. I don't exactly know what that's going to look like, but that's the plan. I have a bunch of stuff set up here. Some of these are rereads. So we have some late arcs on this side and some upcoming arcs right here. This is what my November TBR sheet looks like. If you haven't seen one of my TBRs before, I pick prompts out of this jar and they just kind of help me pick books off of this massive list. Usually what I've been doing is categorizing the books, which is what I did here. And so I built a whole bunch of sections. So I have 2 sections for my vlogs. I'm not going to tell you what they are. I have my November arcs as well as the late arcs, which is what some of this is up here. I have a section for some new releases that I'm really excited about, some seasonal book. One section is for rereads. The last like actual category is for the Australian readathon, which is hosted by Stef from Novelty Corner, as well as a couple of other co-hosts that she has, and that is going to be linked down in the description box. So I do have a couple of books chosen for that. And then I have a random other section. I have been on a bit of a like Kindle Unlimited browsing obsession. And so I've saved a whole bunch of like random books, and some of them I just really want to get to for absolutely no reason. Those are all of the categories, and we are going to kind of go through and figure out what I'm reading. Starting with prompt number 1. This is way easier to mix up now too. Wow. Is this one? This is a book that has been hyped or recommended. For this one, I think I'm going to go with A Soul to Keep by Opal. Is it Opal Rain? This was recommended by Stef from Novelty Corner for the Australian Readathon. I went through her video. She had a video, quite a long video, with I don't know, something crazy like 100 recommendations for Australian authors. And I did not realize that Opal Rain was an Australian author. So I had actually downloaded this one originally for October and then realized that the book was quite long. This book is like, I don't know, 500 pages or something like that. And I was like, well, this isn't going to happen. Once I saw that this was an Australian author, I was like, well, I can probably make it happen for November. I think this is what we are going to go with. Prompt number 2. Let's go with this one. And this one, I haven't pulled this in a long time. This one is to add 1 prompt. I don't know if you can see that or not. There we go. Which means that we're pulling 13 this month. There was a streak there where I pulled that every single month, and I haven't done it in a while. So prompt number 2 again. Let's go with this one. This one is to read paperback. I feel like my light is making these very difficult to read. I think I'm just going to put Cleat Cute by Meryl Wilsner on this TBR. I have actually started reading this. I probably got like 20-ish% in, and I ended up having to put it down for like other videos and stuff because I think I was reading this right before I started my October arc vlog. And so I ended up having to put this one down, and I haven't gotten back to it yet. So I feel like this is the right one to put on the TBR right away since I have already started it. This is a sapphic soccer romance between a veteran soccer player and like the newbie on their team. There's a bit of an age gap, and she has always idolized this other player. I didn't have a ton of strong feelings about it, but I wasn't disliking it. And like I said, I wasn't crazy far. Prompt number 3, let's go with this one, is to read a book from an author's backlist. Oh my goodness. There you go. For this one, I think I'm also going to go with another Australian author. I am going to read Dating Disaster. I think this one's Saxon James. I get this wrong every single time. This is the next book in the Satanverse. I believe this is the next book that I need to read. I want to get back to it because I am hoping to get my Reader's Guide to the Satanverse video up in January, I believe. So I need to make some pretty solid progress. And since the Australian Readathon is happening, this is the perfect excuse to do it. Prompt number 4. This is to read a book with chapter titles, which good thing I have a bunch of physical books here. All of these books on this cart, and technically none of these had chapter titles, but Madam by Sarah Kate is part of the Salacious Players Club, and these all have chapter titles, and they're really funny, like rules. That's what I'm going to put on the TBR. This is one that I will be hopefully vlogging, that I will be including in one of the 2 vlogs that I am telling myself I'm going to film. This is the 6th and final book in the Salacious Players Club. It was originally a 4-book series. We got 2 additional books, and this one is What Is Her Name? Eden's romance, and it is a throuple. She is working with this woman who is already in a relationship, and her significant other end up having a relationship with Eden. I hated the last book, so hopefully I don't hate this one. Prompt 5. Let's go with this one. This one is a repeat, apparently, and this is kind of why I need to redo them. This is a book that is recommended or hyped. I'm just going to do it again because I'm sure there are other books on this list. You know what? In fact, I'm going to go with 3 Kings by Freydis Moon. This was recommended by, I think Heather from Hia Booktubes is the one that told me like what this book was about. And I know that she recommended this author to me. So I think that this one is kind of like a cozy, wintry sort of romance. I think it's MM. I don't know much else about it. I have been trying to read Freydis Moon for a while, and I actually did start reading Heart, Haunt, Havoc, and it was at night, and I scared myself. And so I didn't end up finishing that one for Halloween because I got scared. So we're going to read this one instead. Prompt number 6. This one. This is to read a Kindle Unlimited book, which is perfect because I have a whole ton of those. I'm just going to put all 3 of these on here, I guess, because I, 1, can't remember the authors for these, and 2, I think they're short. Watch me have made that up. But it's the Thank You Venus Family. It's up right here. It is a collection of 3 Thanksgiving romance novellas by 3 different authors. Like I said, I'm just going to put all 3 of them on because I think they're short, and I literally cannot remember who wrote which one. Prompt number 7. This prompt is to read a queer book. I think for this one, I'm going to go with Power Unbound by Freya Marsk. This is the final book in the, I always forget the name of this series, The Last Binding, is that right? And I'm really excited for it. This series has, all of them have been queer. The first one was MM, the second one was FF, and this is another MM one. And it's following a character that we met in book 1, and I'm really excited to get his story. Book 1 was one of my favorite books of that year, so I'm hoping to love this one as well, and I'm excited to see how the series wraps up. Prompt number what? I don't even know anymore. I should be writing this stuff down, but I don't. I try to remember it all afterwards because that's just how we are. Prompt 8 is to read a monster story. I really don't want to go grab my laptop because I would have to move all of my filming stuff out of the way. I'm not entirely certain which ones of these are actually paranormal monstery. So for now, I am going to put Dark City Omega by Elizabeth Stevens on the TBR. I think that this is paranormal, but I'm not 100% positive. I have been meaning to read this author for ages. I've downloaded Taken to Phyrexia like 3 times, and I just never prioritize it. Like, it just doesn't end up on a TBR. And this book, I think, is new. It all of a sudden just popped up in my KU like discovery page thing, and I am kind of obsessed with the cover. And it just kept popping up, and I was like, well, now I need it. I'm guessing that this is Omegaverse, which, close enough. Prompt number 9, this one, book with my favorite trope. For this one, I'm gonna go with You Again by Kate Goldbach. This has kind of a amalgamation of some of my favorite tropes. It is kind of a we got off on the wrong foot sort of deal. This book is super queer, and then they become like enemies to friends to lovers. And so I also think this might have forced proximity. They might become roommates or something like that. I also think this might have not fake dating, but like friends with benefits, which I also really like. We're gonna go with that for favorite trope. I think we're on prompt 10. This one is to read a sequel, which I have so many. Pretty much like everything on here could work, but I think I'm actually going to go with A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch by Sarah Hawley, just because this one is for review, and these other ones are just because I really want to read them. And so I'm trying to be trying to be a good reviewer and prioritize those books. So this one was sent to me by Berkeley. It is the follow-up to A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, which I did enjoy. It was really cute. It wasn't like my favorite witchy story of all time. I was joking with somebody that it is essentially Fern Gully, but with witches. So I am interested to continue out the series. I think that this one is following one of the heroines' like best friends, and I'm assuming she also has a romance with a demon. We may have met the demon too. I just can't entirely remember, but I'm sure I will figure it out once I get back in. It's very rom-com-esque and funny and silly. Prompt 11, I think, is that where we're at? Book that is blurbed by an author I love. So hopefully one of these is. All right, here's what's going to happen. This book is blurbed by India Holton, who I absolutely adore and love. So I'm actually going to do this for blurbed by an author that I love. And we are going to put The Damned by Renee Ahdieh as a sequel instead. And this is the sequel to The Beautiful. This is going to be a reread. I listened to these on audio because I own them all, and I need to finish this up so that I can read The Ruined. That's what we're going to do. My game, my rules. So we're switching things around. Prompt number 12, this one. And this one is to read a book by an author that I already love. For this one, I am going to go with The Bone Collector by Anley James. This is the start of a second spinoff from The Necessary Evils. It is following The Watch, which is where Archer works, from book 6? Is that book 6? I don't even remember anymore. But I'm very excited for it. It was originally going to come out in October and it had to get pushed back a little bit. So whenever that comes out, I will be reading that. And then prompt number 13. I think this is 13, right? Maybe, hopefully. I don't even know anymore. What is counting? Let's go with this one. To read a book with a name in the title. I think the only one I have is Atlas by Eden Finley, which isn't technically his name, but it is his code name. So we're gonna count it. This is also going to be for the Australian Readathon. This is the final book in this series that's released. It's not my favorite series by any means. It is part of the Satanverse, and so I do want to finish this one up. Wow. They take me like 2 hours to listen to on audio, so I can absolutely fly through it. And like I said, it helps me participate in the readathon. I think that's all 13 books. I do know that I'm going to be reading at least these two. Dawn of the Onyx is going to be part of a video. This is by Kate Golden, and I don't know anything about this. I think this is a fantasy romance. It says first in an epic fantasy romance trilogy. And then Never Met a Duke Like You by Emily Howard is technically the second book in a series. However, I did ask if you could read these out of order, and they did say yes. If I'm remembering correctly, our heroine in here has ADHD. At no point does she ever say, I have ADHD, because that wasn't a word that they had at that point in time. But the author has said, like, no, she has ADHD. They just didn't have a name for it at that point. Watch it be something else. But I think it was. That is, I think, going to be it for this TBR. Hopefully this video wasn't too painfully long. I am really hoping to find a way to get back to making these videos. So thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, let me know what you are hoping to read this month, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.